Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library System. And I'm going to show you the easiest way to make a couple of cute things with some mother of pearl shells. I have a bunch of them and it is shell season. So I thought we could do some things with some shells. We're going to be doing some different things later on, but the first thing things that I wanted to show you were how to make this really easy ring. And because we're going to use memory wire and just wire wrap on that, makes it even easier because you don't have to worry too much about shaping. The other thing that we're going to make is a pair of earrings. I have this really pretty colorful wire, so I thought we could take this pretty not abalone, but mother of pearl shell and make earrings. Isn't that cute? It's turning. Stop turning. Stop it. There we go. Isn't that adorable? So I thought we would do that. It's a very quick project. You can make some statement pieces in no time. And that's what we're going to do today. So all we need for this is and you don't have to use mother of pearl shells. You can use any beads that you want. I have several different shapes. I've got some rectangles, some ovals, and so if you get a kit, you'll get one of those. And we're going to make our earrings, and then I have some little more organically shaped mother of pearl chips, and I also have some that are more formed. But so if you get a kit, you'll get all of these different things. So let's go ahead and let's get started on that. The things that you're going to need are your usual pliers, your round nose, chain nose or square nose, your cutters, and because we're using memory wire for the ring, you're going to need a pair of memory wire pliers. Now the memory wire comes in ring size like this. You may be able to find it in the store, but it might be something that you have to order. But this is the size it comes in. It's already formed, it's tempered steel, so it holds its shape. And then for the wrapping wire, I'm using 24 gauge. Now for this ring, I just used silver to wrap it, which is really pretty. But for this one, I thought, why not use some of my colored wire? So that's what I'm going to do. And then the same with the earrings, and I'm using 24 gauge. All right, so let's get going. Let's get this show on the road so that you can get these made and wear them and have lots of fun with them. Okay, let's start with the ring. So the first thing I want to do is cut some memory wire. And what I suggest is this comes in coils like this. This looks like sort of like a mini slinky. And as you can see, this will fit over most of my finger. If I go to my actual ring finger, it fits my ring finger. But the good thing about it is when you cut it, it will conform to whatever size your finger is, except maybe your pinky because it might be too big. But it will stretch out to fit over your fingers. So what I suggest you do when you cut it is give yourself a full circle and a half, because you're going to have to loop off the ends. So you're going to lose that much. And then you want enough so that when it stretches out, you still have a full circle. So I've cut myself a full circle and a half of wire. And the first thing I'm going to do is create my little loops on the end. Or on one end, because I have to put my bead on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take one end of my memory wire and my pliers, and I'm going to make my loop out to the side. I don't want it to go in the direction of the curve or against the curve. I want it to go to the side so that when I put my ring on, it lays flat like that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take my pliers. Now remember, this is tempered steel, so you're going to have to use a little muscle, a little elbow grease to manipulate the wire. That's one of the best things about memory wire is it does not lose its shape easily. You have to actually manipulate it into shape with some muscle. So I'm grabbing my wire on the side of the curve. And I'm just going to make a small loop. And I like to hold it. I like to give myself some leverage with my finger. And I'm going to start curving around to the side. Until I have a complete loop. So there's my loop. And see how it's laying flat against the curve. And if I need to, turn it a little more. There, so now it's laying nicely flat. Make sure that's completely closed because I do not want that end to scratch me. So there we go. There's my first loop. And now it's time to put my bead on. Now, as far as how much wire to use, I like to give myself at least 4 inches for wrapping purposes, plus whatever is on the bead. So I give myself probably 3 inches on each side of my bead, plus the bead itself. So I'm going to give myself, just to be safe, I'm going to give myself 8 inches of wire. If I need to cut some off, I can cut some off. Okay. Put my bead on, just slide it over. Slide it over the ring, and because this is so massively curved, we'd have to really work with it, get it on. Again, that's one of the best things about memory wire, is it won't lose its shape easily. See, now that, I don't even really have to wrap that because it's not moving. Boop, boop, boop. It doesn't go anywhere. It could stay just like that. But for the purpose of decoration, I want to wrap it. Actually, you know what? I don't even know what I'm doing. I could do this. I meant to show you that. I could do this, but that's not what we're doing today. We're wrapping this on. So you can either slide that on there and leave it alone, or you can actually wrap it, which is what we're doing today. No point in being that lazy. All right, so I'm going to slide my wire on my bead. Gonna go about halfway down right there in the center. And then I'm going to turn my wire down on each side. There we go. Now I'm going to place my bead where I want it on my ring, which in my case is in the center. And these are really neat because they have a little groove, so I can actually put it in the groove. And remember that this is a very organic piece, so it's not going to be drilled perfectly or formed perfectly in a circle or a square or anything like that. It's kind of a chip. So I'm going to place that in my center, and then I'm going to start wrapping. So I'm going to bring my wire around and through the opening there in the back, as close to my bead as I can get. I'm going to wrap just twice. And stop. Actually 1.5 times. Now, the other way that you can do this is go ahead and wrap your wire on there twice, then put your bead on and wrap on the other side. Either way works, either way is fine, neither way is wrong. This way I can kind of see where my bead is going to land if I put it on there. Okay, and again, wrapping. Slide it down here through the opening and wrap it around. There we go. So now I have one wire on one side and one wire on the other side. So now I'm going to wrap around the bead. So I'm just going to start with one of my wires, bring it over to meet the other wire, and just run away from that one with the other wire. And depending on the look that you want, that will determine how many times you wrap it around. And it also, depending on what you want the look to be. I just want it to be what I refer to as a messy organic wrap, just like I did on the silver one. Okay, and then I just keep wrapping until I have maybe 3/4 of an inch of wire left on each side. Let's see if I can get this all the way around. Yep, gotta stop. Stop over here. And then I like to pinch my wires together. Pull nice and snug. And it's really neat to use the memory wire because I can pull this wire as tight as I want without worrying about messing up the shape of this, of my frame, because it does not get misshapen. So that's a good thing. Okay, so now I have it wrapped firmly around, the wire wrapped firmly around my bead. Now I'm going to anchor it to my frame. So I'm just going to wrap it around. Nice and close on one side and then on the other side. And just nice and close. Again, I'm sliding it through the opening there. And now you can clip this off on the inside because you want to hide it in between the folds of the other beads. And I kind of like to stick it down in between the wraps so I can know for sure that it's not going to poke me. So That's just the way I do it. I think I'm going to give it one more wrap because I don't even think I'm going to need to do anything to this one except tuck it under. And what I like to do is take that straight edge and curve it down. Probably better to use the round nose for that. Just kind of curl it down and then push that wire down between those folds. Nice and tight. So there, now I don't have any edges sticking up that are going to do damage to my finger. And that's always a plus. So let's get this other wire in here and let's do the same thing. All right, let's clip that off. Kind of curve that edge a little bit and feed it down in between the folds of my wires. There we go. And now I can kind of play with my wraps a little bit. If there's anything I want to change or adjust. Okay, and there we go with my centerpiece. And now we're going to close up the other end of our ring. We're just going to do the same thing we did on this side. We're just going to loop that out to the side. Just grab the end. And rotate until I have a complete loop. Almost. And there we go. Just this a little bit so it's a little more flat. Close up that loop. And there's my ring. This one's a little bit bigger than the other one, so I can stretch it. I can stretch it over my middle finger if I want. And there's my ring. Isn't that neat? It's really easy to do. Kids can do this. I wanted something that the whole family can play with. So there's that one, and there's this one. I can put them together. I can spread them out. Isn't that neat? So easy. All right. Next, let's do earrings. So I already made this one earring, and it's a very, very simple design. Okay, so I just want to match this one. So what I'm going to do for this is give myself about, it depends on the size of your bead. My bead, I try to give myself about 5 times whatever the bead is, and then that way I have plenty of wire with which to do my little decoration. So this is a little more than 1/2 inch. So let's see. 1, 2.5 inches. And then I'm going to give myself an additional because I know I'm going to have to go for this design. Once through, 2, 3, 4, loop 5, 6. So I'm going to give myself 6 inches to do this little design. All right. All right, 6 inches. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is feed my wire up through my shell. And again, shells are notoriously thinly cut, very narrowly cut. So I'm going to take it up through the center until I have it in the center. And then the first thing I'm going to do is make my loop on top. And you can do this with your, this is 24 gauge, so you really don't have to use pliers for that. You can just loop it with your fingers. But if you're more comfortable using the pliers, that's fine. So I'm looping it off on the side. Not that it's going to matter, because until I get this wrapped, it's going to keep rotating. So make my little loop. I'm going to give myself one wrap around. You see, now this one I wrapped. So this one I need to wrap the opposite way. That way, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to give it one wrap around. Because I did this one, I wrapped it. Yeah. So I need to go the opposite for this one. This one I wrapped clockwise. So this one I need to wrap counterclockwise in order to do the opposite earring. So I need to unfurl that a little bit and go in the opposite direction. There we go. Let's fix my loop. All right. So I'm going to give it one wrap around. Okay, then I'm going to bring it down. And I'm going to bring the bottom one up. And I'm just going to wrap them around each other. So I'm going to bring the bottom one, the top one over the bottom, wrap it around the other wire. And then I'm going to wrap that wire around. Just make a loop. So I'm going to bring it up a little higher to match the other one here. So I'm going to bring that up to the center, like so. And 24 gauge is very forgiving and very malleable, so thank goodness. So I'm going to wrap the short wire around the long wire that came up from the bottom. Wrap that around, and I'm going to wrap the long wire around the short wire until I have a loop, like so. I'm going to try to get it as close to this one as possible, except for one thing. I want them to go the opposite direction. Again, very forgiving wire. Thank goodness. So I'm going to bring the top wire around the bottom wire, make a loop, and then make a loop with the bottom wire, which is the long wire in this case. My wire has been manipulated to the point that it has little crinkles in it, so I'm going to fix that. It's straight, or a little straighter. Okay, then I'm going to bring them around and up. Like so. I can space these out a little bit so it looks closer to the other one. Close, close, closer. That's the fun of earrings, getting them to match. There, that's better. Okay, I'm going to bring that up. Here's my design. And now I'm just going to wrap it around. That's why I only wrapped this once, because I'm going to wrap this around several times. Just give it a little funnel up here. At the top, like so. And then I'm going to clip off the back of the wire, or clip off the wire in the back, I should say. And push down those little ends, just hide them in between the rings of my wrap. And then you can make whatever adjustments that you need to make so that it looks more like your other one. But for the most part, I think this came out pretty nicely. There we go. And now all I need to do is pop on a nice little ear wire. And I am good to go. Isn't that great? All right. So there we have quick, easy summer project with some nice lightweight shells. And there we are. Isn't that neat? Those are neat earrings. I love them. And I like this little colored wire. Somebody gifted it to me and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And then I had all these beautiful abalone, I keep calling them abalone egg, mother of pearl shells. And I said, this is the perfect time. Look at that. So that's it today. Have fun. If you get a kit, you'll get everything that you need to make these lovely little pieces. And I hope you enjoy. Until next time, enjoy your week, enjoy your weekend, and enjoy your summer. Try to keep cool. Bye-bye.